Yo, what's up, y'all? What's going on? Back at it with another episode of Super Art Radio. This is episode 2. Yours truly, Nelson, the Show Your Work Network. Shout out to the Union. Shout out to Show Your Work Network. Guests are from the stands. Make artists and catering. First of all, to break the fourth wall, I guess, Happy New Year. Hope you have a safe and prosperous New Year. Hope you enjoyed the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, and all that good stuff, safe and sound. It's been a year, but a lot's happened in the last month, give or take, with the FGC and the fighting game community and just gaming in general, to be honest. But yeah, man. Just most importantly, hope y'all enjoyed, the festivities in the new year, and a prosperous and a healthy and a fun 2025 for everybody involved. I mean, not everybody involved, excuse me, wow, but everybody. I'm saying everybody involved as if I forget I'm the only person speaking on this on this damn podcast. But yeah, most importantly, as always, like, share, and subscribe. You see it right there at SYWNET on all platforms. And most definitely, man, follow us on the YouTube. These Super Art Radio episodes, will be up on the YouTube. But definitely just search at SYWNET or search Show Your Work Network, and we will definitely pop up. And click that notification bell. Most importantly, aside from liking and sharing, click that notification bell as well, and tell a friend to tell a friend. But yeah, man, to get back into the swing of things, 2025, man. I'm not really I want to say I'm not really a resolutions person, but I think I learned a lot in 2024. If you know me personally, it's kind of been a year, to say the least, for 2024. I was out of a job for the first, pretty much through the summer. Just learning a lot about myself, learning just a lot around me, about me, in my relationship, my fiance, my relationship with myself, just a lot of personal, a lot of personal things, and just me figuring out what I want to do next, which is, it's a bunch of stuff, with the podcast, with personally investing in myself, giving, even with just, mentally, physically, emotionally, investing in myself more, and while balancing that relationship, that can be difficult depending on your partner, but with me, I'm fortunate enough to have somebody who really looks out for me, wants the best for me, in our long term, considering how long we've been together. I could definitely say this person, she really looks out, for me, and, wants the best for me, aside from like what we have together. So, I learned that, a lot, albeit it was difficult at times, but I've learned that, investing in equipment, definitely going to get some new equipment in the next couple of months, most likely a new computer, just even a laptop, just getting a whole bunch of new stuff, just to get what we already make content wise, even though it looks great and, we get good responses, from it, and great feedback, which, I appreciate, especially somebody, who founded the podcast and have a great brand of brothers around me, with Larry and Winston and Youngin, and a great supporting cast with Earl and AJ, Jamal, Mo, like the whole crew, man, like everybody around, Donnie, everybody, like, everybody who's really supporting me. But, I definitely want to take it to the next level. I've even learned how to do backgrounds and logos, and learning how to do that, which I never thought I'd learn or be able to do. And considering what I do with what I have now, not that it's terrible, but it can always be better. I'm definitely looking forward to, getting new equipment, working back with it. I kind of want to get back into the, Apple products again. I'm on a Windows now, which Windows is okay, but I think I work a lot better off of a Mac. So it's going to be learning that again, but obviously just being able to, work with, better equipment and, take it from there. But enough about me. Let's get into what's really going on out here in the FGC and the gaming world in general. To start, I did see Sonic 3. It was incredible cinema. 10 out of 10. No, it was maybe I'm tweaking. It was like a I would say 8.5 out of 10. It was really good. Spoiler alert for people who are watching this. Please forgive me. It is Sonic Adventure 2, the movie. It is Sonic Adventure 2, the movie for sure. I apologize as I'm typing something in here, but it is definitely Sonic Adventure 2, the movie, if you played the game. And it was just a really well thought out trilogy. Like, it is for kids, but, you know, it's also, you know, if you're an adult and a fan of the series, you know, since we were kids, like, you know, I was, or like we all were, you know, for the most part in America, I think everybody will enjoy the movie. I definitely think it's the best video game franchise out of movies. I know there's, you know, the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out a couple years ago. That was great. You know, looking forward to see what they do with the second movie. But with these three Sonic movies, they have been incredible. And the fourth one coming out soon, which is, you know, well, the fourth one coming out in 2 years, which I'm already looking forward to. But you know, aside from that, I mean, the first Mortal Kombat movie is great, but the second one, Annihilation, is some ass cheeks. Which I could have a whole hour pod about how ass that movie is, but I'm not doing that today. You know, as well as, you know, the first, you know, the Mortal Kombat remake that came out a couple years ago, which the second one I think is coming out October of this year. I could be wrong, but I know it's coming out sometime later this year. So we'll see how it was. The first one was okay. It's just the Cole Young thing. No. And we'll get into more Mortal Kombat later. Or actually, no, we'll probably get into Mortal Kombat in the next topic. But just the you know, they have good characters. And for some reason, they decide to just like make them lamer or just less powerful than what they should be or already be. Which is annoying, but, you know, it is what it is. Then, of course, obviously, Street Fighter some ass, Tekken's are some ass, you know, so on and so forth. But in regards to, like, you know, actual films that went into theaters, like, it's really the Sonic trilogy and Super Mario Brothers, the most recent one, and, you know, and the first Mortal Kombat, which is still great in its own right. But Sonic 3 was absolute cinema, highly recommended. I had a blast watching it. And yeah, I saw that when I was back home with family. Well, I went by myself, but I went back home for the holidays, and, you know, when I went to visit, and I took a nice Sunday afternoon matinee, you know, with T-Mobile Tutors and that $5 ticket. So great $5 investment. I will say 10 out of 10 in regards to the investment side of things. But anywho, to get into Mortal Kombat, yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat done. I don't know what to do to call this, to discuss about this game. There's so much that happens, and it's not good for the most part. I don't even know where to start. Every time I thought I had time to make a video about what was going on, I couldn't, and then something else popped off like 2 or 3 days later with this damn game, what's going on around it, and so on and so forth. But we'll do kind of I don't want to say a retrospective, but how we got here. But I think what really, there's been a fight, you know, the smoke has been billowing. It's been a burning house that's slowly but, you know, surely, the smoke, you've seen the smoke come, you know, rise to the top. And I think what really set everything off was when we got something back. I think I want to say it was November. It was about a month ago. It was like late November, early December. And for people who don't know, there is a leaker by the name of Fate Unknown. Fate Unknown's been mostly in Reddit circles. There's also been another person, I think his name is like Interloco, they've been known to be able to be in the know about some information. There's been data mining going on since even before this game came out, so people already knew about Combat Pack 1 literally by the time the game came out in September of 2000, you know, September of 23. Now, to preface this, I'm gonna say this. I am not calling this year 2. I'm sorry. This is not even year 1.5. This ain't even year 1.5. For people to be calling it year 2 of this game is honestly a disservice to companies who have literally, as soon as the clock strikes, you know, a year after the game's release, really kicked up the tires and made their games great. So respectfully, and that hurts me as a Mortal Kombat fan. as a true Mortal Kombat fan of, yes, the gameplay, but like the lore and everything around it, and like what a phenomenon it is, and it has been for the last 30, 32, 32, 30, well, now gonna be 33 years this year, but this has just been a damn mess. But what really started what really kickstarted all of this talk, and kind of was the death blow, more or less, about this game was Fate Unknown. Like I stated before, who's a well-known source, I'll say. He has brought up some of the early leaks about the combat pack, when things were coming out, what cameos were next. Like, he's been pretty on point with his sources. Now, there's been other people, but I don't really name them, and I'm not gonna really cite them, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna cite sources that have been fairly accurate, and for the most part, Fate Unknown, has been the most accurate person amongst other people. So there was a Reddit post where they had discussed if there's a Combat 3 pack coming out, and he pretty much explicitly just said no. Now, I guess what happened with this was that he must have known some people in NetherRealm, or some people in NRS, or Warner Brothers. We don't exactly fully know the whole scope of who his sources are, which is fine. That's a normal thing. But that news wasn't only in the NRS MK circles. That legit traveled across gaming circles, like the whole FGC was like, holy shit, they going through, this is happening even sooner than how it happened with MK11. Because at least with MK11, it was close to about 2 years until they said, okay, yeah, we ain't doing a Combat Pack 3, and we'll just minimally support the game. They, meaning NRS and Warner Brothers. But with this, this is literally a year. This happened less than a year and 3 months, less than 15 months into the game being released. That's very, 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 very bad. I don't care how people are gonna try to cross this up. Whether it's, I know that people call them shills, but the people who are acting like this game, granted, yeah, it might be getting better, but it's still in a bad space. Those people, as much as they're gonna fail, they're failing to acknowledge what this game has become, or the lack thereof, or what it has not become, and what a mess it's been. But yeah, this is where we are, and this is why we're here. But to get back to the whole situation, Fate Unknown, and I'm gonna pull up my tab, so just bear with me, because I'm kind of gonna go a little bit everywhere. But to pull up the window, Fate Unknown speaks about the canceled KP3, and he says, hello, you may have seen recently I gave the news out that the MK1 DLC has been canceled. You know what, let me broaden this up a little bit. It might cover me, but this is okay. This has spread further than the MK community, and I do not want the attention, so I am stepping away from leaking. I was going to stay around until Conan and T1000 were done, but I'm going to end it now, and I will not have info on future NRS games. From my final post, here is further info about the canceled DLC. Now, I'll get into this first, but in his initial post, he pretty much said that Conan and T1000 are going to pretty much be, and I'll pull this window back up, but Conan and T1000 were pretty much going to be the end of KP2, and they have not worked on anything else. They said they finished there's maybe 1 or 2 more cameos that nobody knows about, that have not been fully announced yet. So pretty much after Conan and T1000, there may be another cameo too that they had finished already. So, and they were just gonna put those out, but anything else that passed that cameo or 2 is not finished, or just they canceled it. They said, fuck this, we're not doing this anymore. But to get back to it, it says, first, Chaos Reign sales were not the only reason. There were multiple reasons the team was pushed to move on, but the sales were just the big reason. The NRS team really wanted to do the DLC and are not happy about it, but they had no choice. Second, I do not know what the story stuff would have been. It did not make far enough for me to learn anything about details, sorry. Third, the final combat pack was meant to be 6 characters, 5 MK and 1 guest. Less guests due to a lot of reasons, but mostly as a thank you to MK fans for sticking with the game. The Mortal Kombat characters were Jade, Cassie Cage, Kung Jin, Sonya, and Kano. I do not know the guests, but I'm told they wanted to get a highly requested character. That is all good by everyone. And as you see, it shows deleted here, which means he is no longer on Reddit. He has gone into the Netherrealm, I guess. I don't know. He's gone somewhere. But it was where do I even start this fucking game, man? It doesn't surprise. I'm not surprised that this happened. I'm more surprised at how soon it happened. I was expecting maybe a year, 6 months going into year 2. Like maybe July or August, it would have been like, yeah, we're done. But for this to happen as quick as it did, and how sudden, how abrupt, how literally that Reddit post where he said there's no Combat Pack 3 turned into like this whole fucking mess is crazy. And there were things that were getting to this point. Like there's Sonic Fox and Mike Hollow arguing. Sonic Fox and Loose Streets arguing, which I really enjoy Mike Hollow and Loose Streets' insights on things. People just acting like Tom Brady's an old man yelling at the cloud, even though he kind of does give that off. But I understand why he's like that, and that he does have valid reasons as to why he's like that. So I'll get into to Mortal Kombat Tom Brady in a little bit. But the Mike Hollow Loose Streets situation with Sonic Fox, those respective situations were just stupid and just like, and not even on Mike Hollow Loose Streets, it was more so on Sonic Fox. Cause it's like, bro, they're saying this game is not good. There are people who say that this game is not good. They're giving reasons as to why this game is not good. They've tried to play them. There's reasons why this game is not good. Now, Loose Streets has probably been more active than Mike Hollow in regards to playing MK1. But we're not going to sit here and act like this game does not have flaws. That's the problem. It's like this, people call them toxic positive. I'm tired of hearing that word as somebody who hears that word way too much in social media, aside from like the NRS stuff happening. But it's just this aversion to acknowledging that this game is a fucking mess, and it has been an unfinished mess since day one. As a casual gamer myself, I played this game. I was like, Invasions was cool, but then it got to a point that I'm like, I feel like I'm like a hamster. It felt like a hamster in a wheel. Like I'm not really getting much out of this. I played the story mode, and I'm like, okay. There were certain things I was a little weird about, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. But then I saw how much Chaos Reigns is, and I said, I'm not paying $50 for that shit, especially for a game I'm barely playing. Like, I could understand if I'm playing this a lot, if I was playing MK1 a lot, and it's like, all right, even then, $50 for an expansion is a bit much, especially an expansion that like the story didn't even finish. Like, it was, I watched it. I'm gonna say that, go that far. I watched it. I didn't play it. I was not paying $50. If for $50 I could get 2 or 3 other games for that price, or get another game and maybe a DLC for that price. Quality stuff, not what MK was. And I watched it and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, like Chaos Reigns, let me pull up my phone notes for this, because I'm pretty sure I wrote notes about this, about this whole thing. But let me see if I can find it. I might have it, I may not. I don't think I do, but if I do, cool. If I don't, let's see, man. Like, this Harumi Scorpion thing, you know what, fuck it, let's get into Chaos Reigns' story. I'll get into the everything else after this, but I'm looking at some of my notes, like this, like, oh my god, I wrote about 3 times that this the regendered you know, retcon Sector. Like, Sector was annoying. And granted, I'm gonna say this first and foremost. I actually played with female characters. I like female. We're in 2025. I apologize. I like playing with women characters in games. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you know me, I love playing. Especially like with Marvel superheroes. I was a huge fan of Psylocke. I even used her at MVC2. Even in 9, like, I was a huge fan. You know, I was using Jade. Like, you know, there are certain like women characters that I like to use. So when it came to regendering the gender swap of Cyrax and Sector, it's not that I was against it because like it's gender swapping. I don't give a fuck what they did. Cyrax could have been trans for all I care, and I would have been like, all right, cool. It's just, if you're going to do that, or not even that, why do that when you can? Why don't you just create a new character? Or just bring somebody in, bring one of the other women characters in that people have been looking for. Like, you would think they learned their lesson from the whole Melina shit with MK11, where people were literally yelling from Twitter rooftops, Instagram rooftops, all types of rooftops at Ed Boon, like, put Melina in. What the fuck? And then it took them forever to do it. And then by the time it did, it was just like, it's too late. Like, you know, like, just put women. Why are you regenerating Cyrax and Sector? And then when I'm looking at the story, because to me, there were certain things I like I actually liked what they could have done with Sector. Now that I bring this up, because I'm gonna look at some of the notes and bring that. Like, I'm like, yo, Melina being Empress and then they making her look like a fucking bum is crazy. Cyrax being Scorpion early on, like, Garrus looking weak as hell. Garrus is supposed to be the right hand man to Liu Kang, Garrus is the timekeeper who is supposed to be the right hand man to Liu Kang, who is the elder god and the protector of Earthrealm. And he looks weak as fuck. And then like Sub-Zero jumping into the portal for sport. But let me go to Sector and then I'll go back to Sub-Zero. So when I was watching it, right, I'm like, something's not adding up here. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, yo, why is she glazing? Listen, women, men, things and storylines, fighting storylines, I'm cool with. Like I said, I don't care about none of it. I am not one of these normal FGC people. And I'm not trying to put everybody in there, but y'all know how these people are. Like, these fucking, women bad, you know, talking about women, characters, bodies, objectifying, all that stuff. I personally don't give a shit. I'm one of those people. Cool if you do it. Okay if you don't. Unless it's a questionable thing. Unless you're not messing with my money or my welfare or my well-being. Welfare, I mean, like, my mental health welfare, not like welfare, you know. But my well-being. I don't care. What is that going to do in my everyday life? As long as you're not taking money out of my pocket. But to get back to Sector, getting the gender swap Sector, I realized halfway through this, I'm like, wait a minute. This feels like, do you know what they could have had, because they wanted to do cameos, which I'll get into that later also, but they could have put Serena in that they could have put Serena in that role. Like, you could have had a Serena Sub-Zero thing, kind of like how it got pursued in Mythologies, which I was kind of cool with. That even though Mythologies gameplay wise is ass, like, we know that period between Mortal Kombat 4 to Deadly Alliance is garbage. MK4 is not that good. We know this. And then obviously Mythologies and Special Forces. Special Forces is one of the worst games fucking ever. But at least with Mythologies has a very interesting story. I actually do enjoy the story and everything around it, how it was taking place right before the first tournament, so on and so forth. I actually like all of that. So if you're going to do that and you're going to do callbacks, just revisit it. Like, put Serena in Sector. Like, I know it may take a little bit of getting into the writer's room and figuring that out and brainstorming, but that's what you get paid to do. You could maybe try a Serena and Sub-Zero romance instead of this Sector Bihan shit. And granted, with Bihan, with Sub-Zero, it's like, I understand this game was supposed to be a reboot and it was marketed as that, but it's like, we knew since day zero when they even mentioned the names. It's just like, all right, if you're gonna make it predictable and you're gonna make it since like obvious since day zero that you're gonna make Sub-Zero is Bihan and Sub-Zero turns into Noob Saibot, I'm fine with that. But if it's predictable, or we know this already, then do something that swerves it at least. Like, do something like, okay, I knew it was gonna happen, but I didn't know it was gonna happen like that. Like, bro, he fucking willingly jumped into a portal and then was like, yeah, just tie me up, and then willingly gets tied up. And then it happens just like, oh, and then he just does dumb shit. And then he just looks weak in the story. I'm just like, oh, okay. He's noob. And okay, that's it. Like, there's nothing more captivating to it or anything that just makes you think like, oh wow, like, yeah, maybe it was predictable, but you could have had a swerve in there to how we got to Noob Saibot or got to that point. Then they got Havoc. Havoc. Oh, this is gonna get me mad. This might be a longer episode than I thought. Havoc. I'm trying to think what Havoc is. I'm trying to like do an analogy here, and I can't think of one person exactly right now. But Havoc, for people who watch wrestling, Havoc is like when they try to make a mid-card villain like the top, like the main event villain or the main event heel. And he's not a main event heel. He's a mid-card heel. He's a very good mid-card heel. Like, you could give him the US Championship. You could give him the Intercontinental or the TV title or like any of those mid-card titles. But like, he's not like a world champion material type of heel. Like, he's very good as a second option. You know what? Maybe it's that. It's like, maybe like it's sports wise, like basketball. Like, you got a guy who's like your first option and your second option. And then the dude goes to a second option and there's a first option somewhere else and just the team is ass. Like, the team is not that good because he is better as a second option. Havoc is a very good second option. Havoc is a very good second option. Havoc is a very good, you know, however you want to put it, mid-card heel. Very good mid-carder if you want to talk about wrestling. In baseball, he's a good like second or third hitter or like a relief pitcher, but he's not the closer. He's like a setup man. That's what Havoc is, and I feel like they made it's like making a setup man in baseball the closer, and then he fucking blows the save, and it's like, well, we in the extra innings now, and we can't use them no more because we just tiring them out. Or in basketball, second option, but he just can't do enough to get you some wins. Or like I said in wrestling, mid-card heel, but he's not a main event heel. He's not main event heel yet. And I just feel like that's what I felt like with Havoc watching this. I'm like, yeah, he's cool, but like, he's not. It ain't Shao Kahn. Shit, he's a grade below Shang Tsung. Even though, I'm gonna keep it real with you, Shang Tsung as a main villain, he's not Shao Kahn. He's not Onaga. Havoc might be slightly better than Quan Chi. Like, he's a grade below Shinnok. Like, he's not Shao Kahn tier. He's like slightly below Shang Tsung, as equal as Quan Chi, and a little below Shinnok. But he's not like a main, like, he don't scream like he's a main villain to me. So as I'm watching Chaos Reigns and seeing where it was going, I kind of thought, okay, the first story is gonna be Havoc's gonna be the main villain, but then there's either the Great One, or I mean the One Being, or Onaga gets into this shit, or even Shao gets into this, and we get something more sinister. But Havoc did nothing for me as a main. I'm like, man, this is no, like this is not captivating. Like if you look at the Kami Dogu in Deception looked amazing. Like, let me try to search. You know what? I'm mad I didn't post this while I was looking at this. Hold on, man. MK Deception. Let's look at the Kami Dogu from Mortal Kombat Deception. Give me 2 seconds as I pull this up. Like, I'm looking at I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, they're mentioning the Kami Dogu, and I'm like, oh, great. Like, this could be, this could be something. And then I'm looking at, like, this is not done. This might not be the best picture per se. And I'm gonna pull this picture up like right now as we speak. But as I'm trying to pull up the Kami Dogu in MK1, but good Lord, what the fuck? I'm looking at this right now. Like, I'm trying to find this right now. And bear with me, but God Lord. I'm trying to get this picture up as we speak, man. Like, oh my God, hold on, let me pull it. Like, look at the Kami Dogu and then look at the Kami Dogu in MK11, like in Deception. Like, look at that. Those look like formidable. Like, those look like formidable. Those look important, right? It looks like they have some type of importance to them. There's some importance with the Kami Dogu, right? And then, like, I'm looking at MK1, and I'm like, look at this shit. Like, look at this, bro. These look like kidney stones. These legit look like kidney stones, like that you pass, like 6 painful kidney stones that you passed through because you didn't drink enough water. This looks crazy. Like, bro, what? Look at this. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm showing my full page, but it's fine. Look at that. Look at this. They have personality, Earth Realm, Nether Realm, our world, Sato, Dania, the Chaos Realm, those look cool. And then it's like, what the fuck is this? What is this? What is this? Brother, like, this Kami Dogu just like, oh my God. Look terrible. Look god awful, man. But anywho, let's get back to the rest of the notes for Chaos Reigns. Yeah, man. The Tanya Rain chapter was weird. And I get you're trying to retcon them, but like, we know them as con men and women who got who got out, who did whatever they could to get out of their way and be traitors to Edenia. And it was like this game, we have Odin the Dragon in there. I'm like, what in the Game of Thrones is fucking going on with this? Like, I maybe sound like old man yelling at the cloud, but the MK1 I know was or not even the MK1, the Mortal Kombat I know. I'm calling this game MK Done. That might be the title of this episode. The Mortal Kombat that we know, and granted, it's gone to other things, but like, it was Enter the Dragon meets Big Trouble in Little China meets Star Wars, with a twist of other things, with a twist of Highlander maybe in there, a sprinkle of other shit. But like, this Game of Thrones, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Then we get like the current timeline of people popping up, and I'm like, where did we get to this point? Like, what happened to this? Like, how do we get here? There's like, granted, I don't need a full fleshed out story. I understand this is an expansion, but damn, like, give some context. Like, I'm looking at this, man. Like, I like the behind the Temple of Elements thing. Like I said, mythology stinks, but the storyline is great. I actually really liked that whole storyline and how we got there. Granted, it looked a little off because of obvious reasons, but I actually like the mythology storyline in its own right. So that was cool. And then like Liu Kang, I'm thinking, yo, Liu Kang did all this shit. He broke timelines. He beat Kronika's ass. He beat Tiny Shang Tsung's ass. He formed with Raiden. This motherfucker got burnt alive in Mortal Kombat 9. Came back to life. All types of things. And you think he's gonna get a retribution and be like the full... He may not be Dark Raiden, but like he's a little bit more of a... He got a little bit more anger than regular Raiden. You know, he's a little bit more relentless, or I don't want to say arrogant, but he has a little bit more of an iron fist than regular Raiden does. But then I'm like, bro, he's literally Raiden with fire. He just letting shit happen. Oh yeah, I can't do this. It's like, motherfucker, didn't you create this world? Like, you created the world. You created this. You beat Kronika, you beat Shang Tsung, you made sure Garrus came out and you made sure he was gonna help you out, and you do all this to make sure there's peace. And this motherfucker Havoc and all these fucking people from different timelines are impeding on your peaceful world that you created for everybody to live in harmony. You even made Scorpion, Kuai Liang, and Sub-Zero Bi-Han so that they could be harmonious, which I don't even like that, because I'm sorry, I like Kuai Liang, but I like Sub-Zero as Kuai Liang. This Scorpion as Kuai Liang, I really wanted to give it a try. I can't do it. It's not, I'm not feeling it. Hanzo Hasashi dealt with some bullshit, but you know what? Hanzo Hasashi is full proof that sometimes you gotta go through hell to get to heaven. And he damn near almost did that. He was just a bit unlucky. Let's just put it that way. But this Sub-Zero is Kuai Liang shit. I mean, this Scorpion is Kuai Liang. Nah, brother. Yeah, fuck Terry. Fuck Red and Yellow Terry. But it's a no for me, brother. I can't. I just can't. I cannot do it. I can't. And my overarching thoughts about the story was that I wrote this down in my notes. I have notes here, so I just put it was too fast. The Game of Thrones chapter with Tanya Rain was kind of corny. And as I'm watching this, I had a feeling either this was going to be either badly rushed or we won't have an ending and we're supposed to get something else. And it might have been both, depending on your opinion, but the latter, with it not having an ending, ended up being what happened. So there's that. So you know what? I'm gonna get into the story, and I'm gonna go into how do we get here with Mortal Kombat 1. So we'll go back to the NRS. When NRS came back, obviously Midway got bought out. They tried MK versus DC. It ain't work. MK9 comes out as, NRS is reborn under Warner Brothers, which is cool. Great, cool. But, and I appreciate for this, I actually was watching a lot of stuff. Like I was watching, like I said, Mike Hollow stuff. I was watching Loose Streets stuff. I was watching, I even sat through the Mike Hollow, we could go to Loose Streets and Ninja Killer, which was another controversy in itself, because Ninja Killer pretty much said, if you ain't Star Fox, they not listening to you, in regards to NRS and Warner Brothers with player feedback and figuring out how to do patches and what to fix in the game and so on and so forth, which I'll get into shortly. But I remember watching Tom Brady and Loose Streets' streams, which were really informative. I think a lot of people give Tom Brady grief, MK Tom Brady, but I understand where he's coming from. It's not really old man yelling at the cloud. I think a lot of people get like that because of how he felt about MK11, but at the same time, he has given praise to the game, and I recall that a bunch of times. For people who don't know who MK Tom Brady is, obviously this is for casual FGC. This is for all FGC people, but some people want to understand what's going on in the wild world of the FGC. But Tom Brady has been a guy who's been a Mortal Kombat fan for a very long time, but he has kind of been around in regards to tournaments, gameplay. Like, he's like a fucking Mortal Kombat encyclopedia. Like, he knows about everything. He was there very early on, like, because if I recall correctly, I think the Deception or Armageddon was the first MK game, Mortal Kombat game with online play, and which was the infancy of online play, which was during like the PS2, Xbox Live era, with the first Xbox, or the Xbox era, excuse me. But there was that whole era, and I got my first mention. I first knew who Tom Brady was through Ketchup and Mustard, who used to do like the retrospectives on every Mortal Kombat game. Where I would suggest watching them. There, if you search, I think it's P&D K&M, which is Ketchup and Mustard's page. And with that, they break everything down. Like, they will break down like the meta of each game. Like, even with Mortal Kombat, like MK92, I guess you could call it, or the very first Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat, however you want to call it, breaking down the meta, tier lists, different revisions, and then they will talk to Tom Brady about like the meta of like certain games, especially like the 3D games going into now. And he was pretty informative about it from what he gave, whether it was through Ketchup and Mustard, them narrating it, or him saying it himself. But to get back to the streams, he had two streams with Loose Streets recently, and he had a stream with Mike Hollow that was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was almost 4 hours long, but it was super fucking informative. And there were certain things I took from it that I'm like, I didn't realize at the time because, I was younger. I wasn't really, like, I was aware of things, but I never really sat down to, like, look at the whole scope. And I don't know what it was with MK1, but it got me to this point where I wanted to look at the whole scope. And he pretty much gave a good whole thing. For one, MK9 and MKX don't have much retention. Well, MK9 and MKX had retention with players, cause like MK9, like that was when, if you recall, that they called Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat the Big Three. That was because of MK9, because Mortal Kombat was back. Everybody was super excited. It was a long layoff, and obviously with the way Midway ended, that was a whole kind of went out with a whimper. And that's kind of, what everybody remembered it for. So with MK9 to triumphantly come back the way it did, being critically acclaimed, being, a very popular game amongst fans, not only just the FGC, but casually. Like, people tend to forget, like, yes, Street Fighter is popular and Tekken has some popularity, but amongst, like, casuals, like Mortal Kombat, to be honest, like, I know there's Smash, but, like, I'm not going to get into that side of the community, but Mortal Kombat is really like a casuals game in regards to popularity. Like, it sells the most, it's some of the most highest selling games of all time, which I'll get into in a little bit. But with MK9, like, that really put the battery in the series back, because the game was back, everybody enjoyed the game. It was a callback to one. It was a callback and a retelling of 1 to 3, which was fine in itself. Which people fondly remember Mortal Kombat for those first 3 games. Really 1, 2, and Ultimate 3 more than anything, and like the trilogy and so on and so forth. That's what most people will finally remember Mortal Kombat for. If you ask any normal person, or asking a casual, so on and so forth. So that really is what did well. Plus the online. Then you had guys who weren't really even playing it. Weren't known for playing Mortal Kombat. You would see like Justin Wong playing Mortal Kombat and so on and so forth. And obviously like Sonic Fox emerges and Perfect Legend, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. We can talk about them all day. But then with MKX coming out, MKX did a really good job of retaining the players who were really good. The players from MK9 and plus the fans, because not only was MKX was a great game, it sold a lot in a small amount of time, and it bugged me out because I didn't realize this, given the cycle that NetherRealm was doing with the MK Injustice, where they were doing games every 2 years, that MK9 to MKX was a quick turnaround. It was only 2 years. Then with MKX was popular as hell. Like MKX, if you tell me MKX is your favorite Mortal Kombat game, or if somebody thinks MKX is the best MK of all time, I can't even blame you. Because to me, even after just going through everything, and granted, I haven't booted up my PS4 in forever, so like I haven't played MKX in a while, but like remembering how the game played, watching videos, and I'm like, damn, like MKX really kind of had it all, because it was game wise. Mortal Kombat, I think people try to think Mortal Kombat has the most balanced gameplay. It really does not. And I think some people conflate with having balanced gameplay or certain things as just games being great. And sometimes games could be a little bit janky. Sometimes games could be a little bit broken, or sometimes there are little things in games that people exploit. But if the game is fun and there's a replay value and there's ways to, win, I think people kind of put that to the side, because it's like, yo, at the end of the day, this game is fun as hell. And I can pick up this game, I can play online, I can do Towers of Time, I can do story, I can do so on and so forth, and then this, that, and the third. And there was enough to get by with MKX in regards to content, single play, and playing online. Like online, you had like the rooms and lobbies. You had shit. I remember playing King of the Hill a lot in MKX online. That really took a lot of I was doing investing a lot of time in that as well. So thinking about that, I'm like, wait, like, damn, MKX did all that in only 2 years. Like, it sold what it sold. I think it was like 11 million or something. It sold over 10 million units in only 2 years. And then it went to MK11. Like, and if you look at MK9 to MKX, like, MKX got faster and like the combos got crazier, but people enjoyed that. People enjoyed it. Like, the story was okay. The story did get a little weird in certain points. Like, you would think it was like MKX, and you would think they would go full force with Dark Raiden, which they didn't do. And I mean, even at MK9, like, as great of a game as MK9 is, the one complaint I will say is Sindel turning to fucking Super Sindel and killing everybody was just dumb. Because then, like, what they did with Sindel after that was just like, it was a mess. What they did with Sindel, in the new with the new timeline, with the NRS timeline, was just stupid. Like, the Super Sindel killing everybody, then like she's like deliberately evil, which I think kind of kills the story. I get it's like a rewriting, but it's not as good as the original, where it's like she was actually good and then she was manipulated, and she finds out she was manipulated, and so on and so forth. But to get back to MKX did a great job of, like, not just being a great game, but also people who liked MK9 went back to MKX. Like, they were like, oh nah, this game is even as good, so more people are going to want to play. They're going to tell more people, and MKX did really good. And like I said, if you consider that your favorite Mortal Kombat game of all time, or if some people say it's the best, so what people do, I can't really blame you for that. Honestly, I would not argue with you, because to me, if I had to choose, it'd be between MKX, MK9, and Mortal Kombat 2. Those are the three. If you had to give me your top, there has to be one from each era, then I'd probably say it'd be 9, Deception, and 2. But obviously everything is subjective and objective, and you decide what you think. So MKX only had 2 years, which is kind of crazy considering how much it did in such a short period of time. Where, like, it makes me wonder, like, what if instead of the 2-year, the Injustice MK, like, they took time out to really, like, develop MKX and, like, give it, like, a final update and have it around for maybe 3 or 4 years, and then go into MK11. Because it feels like with MKX, like, you had the variations. They weren't customizable, but there were some variations. And then MK11 was like more, it was like customizable variations. And then they did weird stuff with that too, because, like, if I recall correctly, I think it was like you couldn't use custom variations in tournament play. But then they did an update where you could do it, but it wasn't really an update. It was just more like they pretty much, the feature was in the game, but then they pretty much unlocked the feature for people to use like at the end of MK11, which is just weird. But with MK11, it's like it had potential, but I realized I didn't play that game much after 6 months. Like it was grinding to get variations and skins was cool, but then after a while it was just like, okay. And the game just seemed slower. Like it seemed a step slower than MKX and MK9. And yeah, just I don't know. There's just like MK11 was cool, but it just wasn't. It wasn't MKX. It just wasn't. It wasn't that to me, and that's kind of really why I was just like whatever about it. And then with MK11, from what I remember, I think they did the first the KP1. They did a couple updates, and I was like, okay, cool. This is all right. This ain't bad. And then it's like after the second year, it's just like they just. They were saying, yeah, we're gonna communicate more, and this is, we're gonna make this we're gonna make this a longer supported game than MKX, and then yeah, they just stopped caring after 2 years, and then that was it. And it was like, all right, cool. And I'm not sure if the pandemic played a part, and I think it might have. To me, that's my personal opinion. I think it kind of did play a part because we did get Aftermath and, another combat pack. After that second combat pack, that was it. And then we got the Aftermath expansion. The Aftermath expansion wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed it and thought maybe after the Aftermath, given with COVID, maybe they'll kind of sit on this game a little bit more and then decide what they want to do next, whether that's an Injustice 3 or another Mortal Kombat. I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened. But to me, I had a feeling when I played this game and how it looked. And this game, speaking of, is Mortal Kombat 1. I was hyped with the story. I said, cool, we're going to get a new era. I think MK11 did too much with the fucking multiverses and everything, which I'm tired of people doing. Like, we have to stop with the multiverse stuff. I was like, okay, maybe they're just using it for this game, and then maybe in MK1 we get like a brand new, this is the timeline, no multiverse, no other timelines, universes, etc, etc, etc. I saw the trailer, I was hyped, so I'm copping this game. And then the cameos thing came about, and I'll get into gameplay. I'll get into the gameplay section of this, but when I saw that and I saw how the game looked, I kind of wanted to say, this looks like this was supposed to be Injustice 3. But I was like, you know what? Let me not think too hard about that. Let me just gloss this over. Let me just act like I didn't think that. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about this. Let me put that joint down. Let me put the Injustice 3 potion down and put that over there. Table it. And then as I'm playing the game more, like I'm playing the storyline, I'm like, alright, the cameos, I did the beta, I was having a little bit of fun. I'm like, okay, this is slower than MK11, which is, MK11 was not the fastest game, but I'm like, alright, maybe they'll speed it up, or maybe they'll do something, maybe they'll have something where the gameplay is, faster paced. And then we didn't get that. And now I'm fully convinced that as we have gone past these years, and I'm gonna pull up some more tweets to get to where we got to here, but I'm fully convinced that this game was Injustice 3. I think this was supposed to be Injustice 3. Maybe, like I said, maybe the pandemic played a part in this, because obviously a lot of people are still trying to get their money back from the pandemic. As you can see, Warner Brothers is a fucking mess. But anywho, even though they said they're gonna invest in Mortal Kombat, and that's gonna be an important franchise, from what it's looking like, they're gonna just cut their losses on this and just pull all the money into a new game. So we'll see what they do with that. But with this game, I was like, okay, after about 3 months, I was like the end of 2023 going into 24, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think this was supposed to be Injustice 3. How it looks, The cameos thing, I mean, that might have been sidekicks for all we know. Just the character select screen, now I'm thinking about it. And mind you, the game visually looks great. It's just everything around it that just is just, like it just, I don't know. Excuse me, I had a drink of water, but yeah, like, oh man, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what happened with this game and what they did with this, but this game was unfinished. I think this game was supposed to be Injustice 3. They scrapped a lot of shit. They were probably maybe they were in the process of writing the story. I don't know. Then this game comes out. It's more or less a live service, unfinished game, and I'm like, okay, this could be Street Fighter 5 all over again. But maybe, and I mean maybe, NRS could have learned its lesson from MK11, because they said this was supposed to be the longest supported game, and they were going to be transparent with communication and all this other hoopla and mess that they were talking. And yeah, we didn't get much communication after a while. Ed Boon was mighty fucking quiet. NRS was mighty quiet. The combat cast was, the combat cast used to be lengthy, and they used to be like long episodes and be informative. And then like the lack of transparency and communication. These combat casts now are just like they're just not even fun to watch. Like there was no point in watching them, because it was like pretty much they played the trailer, did 10 minutes of gameplay, vaguely explained shit and just said, all right, yeah, we out of here, see you next time, and then we don't get a combat cast for 6 months. They literally, you would think, right? And I was thinking this too. I was thinking, you know what? Okay, they're talking about the game being more, supported, and there's gonna be more communication. I was thinking, okay, maybe they learned their lesson from MK11, and maybe they learned the lesson even from Street Fighter 5, because Street Fighter 5 had a similar path where the game started. It was very bare bones. Like there was like 2 mode. Like Street Fighter 5 didn't have a damn vanilla. 5 did not have anything in it. Like a damn thing. Nothing. And then like with updates and combat packs and slowly but surely adding things into it, even though it took years, by the time we got to that, I would say by the time we got into season 2, and then like as the seasons passed and even going into the final update, Street Fighter 5 like kind of worked its way around. Like it actually worked itself into being a solid game, considering how bare bones it was at first. But with MK1, it's like first the game was slow, then it's like there's no such things as like there's no lobbies in this game, which like makes no damn sense. Like how do you have an online game with no lobbies and no rooms? Like the online was garbage. Invasions after a while, it's just like, okay, like you're doing the same shit. I already discussed the story. Like where do you go? Where can you go from here? Like, and I just think it started off slow. The updates weren't good. The cameo thing just wasn't well received. I don't think it is still well received. It's not an assist game. I don't think they fully fleshed it out. I think maybe like if they did it like in the vein of MK1. I mean not MK1. I'm sorry. MVC 1, like Marvel vs. Capcom 1, where instead of a meter, it's like a certain amount of times you can use a character. I don't know, but just this game is slow, it's clunky. It looks good, but that's it. It's like MK1 got pretty privilege. Like it's just not like, yeah, cool, but what else can you do? What else do you have? What personality do you have? It's like a cute girl with no privilege, or for the other side, it's a cute guy with no privilege, or cute, whatever you look at and whatever you prefer. But it's like they just have privilege because they look good, but like they have no personality, no sauce about them, no nothing, no substance. Like that's just what this game was. And I think the issue is like with NetherRealm, and I don't know if it's NetherRealm, I don't know if it's Warner Brothers. I guess it's gonna be both. They're looking at this game as Mortal Kombat became a cash grab now. Like, it's like they look at casuals as being stupid who just want to spend money. It's like, well, listen, as long as we got your money, we don't care. We just gonna give you like this, that, and a third, and have fun with it and leave it at that. And they could have done so much more. Like, if you're gonna make this a reboot, make it a reboot without the all the multiverses and timelines and this person from that gender. Like, oh, just stop. Leave that. Put that shit. Stop. You should have left that with MK11. Okay, you had the two endings, and MK1 showed you which ending was the true one, which is with Liu Kang becoming the protector of Earthrealm and having the new timeline and so on and so forth. And that lost me, because as I'm watching Chaos Reigns, I'm like, yo, what happened to the end of Aftermath? Like, I'm gonna be honest. I think the Great Kung Lao thing should have, like, I remember with MK11 Aftermath, I was hyped because I'm like, oh, they going back 500 years. We're going back to the Great Kung Lao. Like, Liu Kang is writing the timeline, but he's maybe this could be more of a what if than a multiverse thing, whereas it's like you can flip everything around. Leading into the first tournament, you could have done it like that, where, like, for example, from what I recall, MK1, the timeline between the Great Kung Lao winning the Mortal Kombat tournament that he won, beating Shang Tsung, and then to him losing to Goro, and then that whole timeline leading into MK1, where, remember the first, not MK1, I hate that we call it MK1 now, fuck, I'm calling it MK Done, alright, the original MK1, the first Mortal Kombat in 1992, what they could have done was they could have literally built on, you know what, let's flip it around. The first tournament, Great Kung Lao wins. Then there is some history in between that and when Goro wins and kills him, and then obviously we get to the point where with the first Mortal Kombat game, that if people forgot what the story was, Goro and Outworld have won 9 straight tournaments, and it is that Mortal Kombat 1 was going to be the 10th tournament, and that if Outworld won that 10th tournament, Outworld was able to take over Earthrealm, because Outworld had already took over Dania and all of the other realms. So you could have done that, where you could have fleshed out the 500 years before Mortal Kombat 1, where Great Kung Lao won. You could have the important shit. Great Kung Lao wins. Goro kills him. Everything in between, chronicling how, Shao Kahn and, the whole situation where Outworld was able to take over different realms. You could chronicle Shang Tsung. The fact that they made Shang Tsung fucking Dr. Sebi, like, they fucking made him Dr. Sebi who can morph into people. Like, you could have done that. Like, you could have started with Great Kung Lao, him beating Shang Tsung being down on his ass and being like, yo, fuck this, I'm gonna be a traitor and go to Outworld. Him getting cursed with the old age, like that whole backstory, how that could have happened. Him leaning with Outworld, them taking shit over, Goro coming up. Like, you could have made a whole new timeline out of the 500 years that lead into that first game. You could have made it a prequel line, and it would have been fine had they done that. But to me, with MK1, with Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat Done, whatever I'm gonna call it now, because I'm starting to confuse myself, I feel like they made Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1 is the 3D era MK9. That's what they tried to do with this. It was, let's bring the 3D era characters that people talk about and love and bring up and all that good stuff. And granted, some characters it was cool to see, but some of them like it's just falling flat. Like I said before, man, Havoc is a cool villain. Like he's decent, but like he is not a fucking main event talent. Like he is not your number one villain heel. There are certain people who are there, and then he's below them. He's below that. He is not Shao Kahn. He's not anybody. Chronica, he's better than Chronica. I might give him that credit, because Chronica was some ass. I'll say that. Chronica, that shit was dumb. But at least like Chronica was ass, but like they kind of did different things to mask that Chronica was a two-pack of ass. Like they did that at least, and it worked. But Havoc? Nah, man. Havoc was not a main villain. It's not main villain material. He really is not. And I don't understand why they thought that. Even with all the Titans and all this other crazy shit. Like, we gotta abandon Titans, abandon the multiverse. They should have just, like I said, started with the Great Kung Lao story. Make that the first game. Even if you want to flip it to that he loses and that the Great Kung Lao was like the new Liu Kang, and then you could kind of build it upon that. They could have done that. They didn't even do that. Like there's a bunch of important things that happened before that very first Mortal Kombat game in 1992 that have been discussed with mythologies, that have been discussed in certain games that you could have like kind of fleshed out a little more. You could have even fleshed out mythologies. You could have had that as part of a game storyline where maybe you're not doing like the mythologies gameplay, but like yes, Sub-Zero, you're going through certain parts, and then like there's certain chapters where Sub-Zero is going into different temples and beating up different people. Like you could have done, those games did not have to be all tournament based. Like you could have done certain ones, and there could have been certain parts in certain games where it wasn't just a tournament. It was a bunch of shit happening around the tournament or even before a tournament happens. And they just decided not to do that. But that's just those are just really my thoughts as to why this game is what it is and why I don't give a shit about it anymore. I was going to give it a try, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of things happening, man. Like, the Ninja Killer comments about Sonic Fox, as much as Sonic Fox wanted to get mad about that shit, everybody was right. Because it's like we gotta really think about this. Anytime Sonic Fox tweeted, buff this dude is broken, buff this, nerf this, that, and a third, we're gonna look at it weird. If a patch happens and we see that certain things that patch involves certain things that were said that you have said. So you really can't get mad at everybody assuming that granted, they may be wrong that I don't think you work for the company, but do I think you have? I don't want to say you're a consultant either, because, funny enough, I was watching an interview with Sajam, and I forgot who he talked to. I think he was talking with the guy who did developing for Killer Instinct, and he discussed how like getting player opinions can be good and bad, because some people will give good opinions that, are legit. But sometimes it's bad because they'll say, oh, nerf this, buff this, patch this, that, and a third. But it's more so for their personal game and personal gain, and for whatever character they use, so they can have an advantage when it comes to tournament play. So that whole whirlwind of trying to figure that out and to do what's best for the game is understandable. Now, granted, being that Sonic Fox is cool with a bunch of the NRS people, it is going to look weird if you say, yo, this fucking cameo is OD, this cameo is broken, this, Cyrax and, I forgot what was the Raiden and Cyrax is OP or broken, and then like 2 weeks later a patch comes out and then Cyrax got fucking nerfed. Like, it's going to add up and look weird. Like, and there's a track record of this. There's the track record of, him allegedly complaining about the Sonic Fox, I don't want to mess up pronouns, but allegedly complaining about the Sub-Zero's Ice Clone from MKX, complaining about Aaron Black from MK11 and them getting fucking nerfed. There's a reason why people are upset, because how you talking about MK1 is back, you know, it's a lot. It's a mess. This community is a mess, man. You know, talking about Mortal Kombat 1 is so back, but then you were talking about, oh, we need crowdfunding for tournaments. Who needs crowdfunding for tournaments? Warner Brothers is like, their pools are ass. The competitive scene is ass for the most part. Everybody's using Homelander or Johnny Cage. Like, it's like a flavor of the month with this game. Granted, Street Fighter 6 is weirdly going through that, and I'll get to that later on as well, but with MK1, it's just like everybody was either using the same characters or complaining about the same characters. The patches were ass. The combat packs were a mess. There's too many guest characters. Like, there's too much good. Like, there's too much of the bad that outweighs the somewhat good in the game. Like, granted, there may be some balance patches and so on, but like, the mess with just the competitive scene, the mess with just these fucking people who act like this game doesn't have any issues when it has a lot of underlying issues that I feel like have been happening since MK11 that they chose not to gloss over. Like, I wish that they learned their mistakes from MK11 and realized, okay, we have to be more consistent with support. Let's like flesh out a storyline. Let's look at what was not good from MK11, and being that this is supposed to be a new thing, a new game and a new timeline, like, expand upon that while correcting the mistakes of MK11. And it feels like they didn't even do that. Like, they just threw this shit out there, and now they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna clean it up. And it's like, you did that last game and it didn't work. What makes you think that throwing shit out there and thinking like, yeah, we're gonna clean it up when no communication is gonna work again? It's not. And that's why we're at where we're at. Like, you know, you're talking about crowdfunding for a game that nobody fucking plays. Nobody's gonna crowdfund that. You really think people are going to crowdfund for a game that was $110 at pre-order and then $50 for an expansion that sucked? That didn't sell? No! Nobody's going to do that, man. Like, it was a mess. And, like, now to bring that up, like, I'm going to bring up the series of tweets that kind of get into all of this. Like, you know, we could go back to July. Like, I think the Evo, there's a lot, and I'm saying there's so much, like, and we're going through a timeline, but I think the game starting off slow, the lack of, you know, before I pull this up, the lack of patches, you know, the patches being a fucking mess, you know, nerf this, nerf, buff, patch, blah, blah, all of that happening, and just it being a mess was crazy. Cameos not being well received was a problem. And then the beginning of it, bro, we're looking at guys who played this game nonstop. Like, we're looking at dudes like Ninja Killer, who is not playing this game like that and went back to Tekken when he started. Because he started, if I recall correctly, yes, he won MK11 Evo, but I think he really like started with Tekken. Tekken is when people like really, when he like was his start. So he goes back to Tekken. He's playing Tekken now. You got guys like Zombat or Combat, XOMBAC. I don't want to, pardon me, please, forgive me if you ever watch this video and I mispronounce your name, and you can just let me know via my Twitter DM. He even said like, I'm not joining the competitive scene. The pools are ass. There's nobody goes to offline tournament. The offline tournament scene is ass. Online is a mess. Like, it's just not organized well. And granted, after this announcement, after the Fate Unknown shit, they came with the Pro Tour, which is gonna be interesting because it's like, okay, what are your payouts gonna be? Are people actually gonna show up? Like, what else can happen in between that happening in February, in a month, that can either drive people to go or even have less people show up? So there's that. But like, I'm looking at some of these people, like, look, let's get this from July 1st, and this is when the Evo numbers came out, when MK1 only had 700 people. It was like 740 people and was the 7th highest game, the 7th most entrants in an Evo. Meanwhile, Street Fighter and Tekken are in the thousands. Like, they're even more off the first run than they are in the second run. Like, you really got to think about this here. But like, he tweeted this, man. Somebody, said, real talk, and somebody actually explained someone who's actually from the Mortal Kombat community explained the MK1 situation. Half the QRTs on the chair throw yesterday were people shitting on the game, and now these interest numbers. and this is July 1st. It says, don't get me wrong, MK1 has its fair share of problems, but I think legitimately it's a combination of literally every other FGC community shitting on the game for some reason, as well as the game being banned in various countries. People dunk super hard on MK for some reason, and this has been ongoing for years. I genuinely believe the game is incredibly good, and it's arguably in its best spot yet, but folks do not stop talking about it in a negative light, especially from figureheads who don't even play the game. Yeah, let me like, I didn't even bring the win. Like, bro, look at, like, what? Like, this is a legit tweet. Like, what? The game was not incredibly good. It was barely in, like, it was in one of those patches that everybody complained about the game. And then you're saying, like, people dunk super hard on the game. Like, no. The game, like, bro, it's the game being banned in various countries. That don't mean shit. That don't mean I'm sorry. That whole Mortal Kombat being banned in Japan or wherever the fuck, that shit is so stupid. That's been going on for 30 fucking years, and it has not stopped NetherRealm now or Midway then from doing anything. So stop with that. That is some bullshit. That complete bullshit. This is 6 months ago. And it started. Like, there's this. Then, like, look, we get to Combat himself. July 2nd. Hate to say this, but I'm seeing a lot of cope for why MK1 has low entries at EVO. Yes, there are a few reasons that can attest to why that is, but regardless, a brand new Mortal Kombat title should not be ranked 7th in its first year. 7th. I think the worst any of the other 3 games did was maybe 3rd or 4th. The problems with it are not the talent. MK scene has great competition, but it's everything surrounding it. Lackluster prize pools. Yes, the prize pools I read for Mortal Kombat are ass. Average Pro Tour, as well as buggy patches almost every month, which I've been fucking saying. But look at that. It's like this two Americas type shit. It's like two Mortal Kombats, 2 NRSs, 2 Mortal Kombats, bro. Like, look at this, bro. Look at this. This is another elite player who has said this. Like, this is a guy who's a Mortal Kombat free agent content creator, like Evo finalist. Like, he could ball, he could hoop, he could fight, and he's saying this, man. Excuse me. But look at that. Lackluster prize pool, average Pro Tour, buggy patches. MK is sadly held back, which is why crowdfunding is a must. Which, then I could understand it. Excuse me. I can understand as to why he would say that then. Like, and then the players from this, like, this is just nuts. Like, there's no scene in Asia. I'm not doing this, bro. Like, Mortal Kombat has not had trouble in the 32, well, 33 years now that Mortal Kombat's been around. I know we're in an online world, but this was not an issue with MK9. This was not an issue with MKX. This was not an issue with MK11. So why is this an issue now with MK1? Why is there's not enough people in Asia represented? That was not, like, that has not been a point of contention for fucking 30 years. And hasn't been a point of contention since, when did MK9 come out? 2011? For now 14 years. 13 going on 14 years. Why is it a point of contention now? The game stinks. Here we go. So let's go into, you know what, and we'll go into this too, because I want to bring up this tweet that Scar, shout out to Scar as well. Scar had brought this up too, and this was my thought earlier about the Great Kung Lao story. So he says, I had such high hopes when we got the Great Kung Lao ending in 11, thinking we were actually going back to the first ever tournament, introducing new characters and conflicts from that time period, and what we got instead, excuse me, was something till this day have had no interest in exploring. Like, bruh, we could have really had the Great Kung Lao. Like I said before, Great Kung Lao, you can either put him as winning that first tournament or not. Getting into Shang Tsung, why Shang Tsung became what he is instead of just being Dr. Sebi who can morph. Because that's literally what he is. The gender swapping shit, which, like I said, the gender swapping thing, I don't care about swapping characters. It's just put new characters in. Put new women characters. We like using women characters. Real people, not these fucking dorks who objectify women. Real people like me have no issue with women characters. Okay, like I said, Psylocke in the MVC world is one of my favorite characters I've ever used in any game. I have so much fun playing as Psylocke in any of those MVC games. But let's get back into it. But yeah, Scar had the best point I had in this, and I was like, bruh, they fucking had a chance. And they literally decided to do the same. Like this guy says here, they really wanted to set up the new era just to do the same shit from MK11, which people were tired of, which we did get tired of at that time, man. Like, bruh. Let's see here, man. But there's that. And then we got into this part, like, you know, Thiny explaining his situation, saying MK1 is divided. You know, this is from December 6th. This is like after the KP3 Fate Unknown thing happens. This is the end. This is the in the middle of the firestorm. MK1 has divided the community more than any MK ever did. I've never seen as much fighting between one another until this game came out. People arguing over how they hate the game, or just fighting people for saying they like the game. The reboot didn't sit well with some, while it was welcome to others, but almost everyone agrees the multiverse is BS. Yes, we can all agree upon that. To make matters worse, NRS's reputation has been damaged. They went from poor communication to overcharged, half-baked betas with false promises. I'm not talking about KP3. Accurate. There's fighting under every post, under every tweet, under every reply. Every time I tweet something, there's someone swearing or yelling unwarranted personal insults, which, you know, there's no more room for discussion or criticism. There's just eat or be eaten. If you don't like an opinion, scroll past it. Who's forcing you to stay, get enraged? You've got free will. Use it when it would become a jungle. So, to add on to this, he is absolutely, you know, this person is absolutely correct. The Thinny is absolutely, I said the Thinny, I'm so sorry, the Thinny. Please forgive me if you ever watched this video. But the Thinny is actually correct. Like, fighting people for saying they like the game, okay. Like, some people just like shiny shit. Like a shiny turd. You want to ask them how it, and you may not agree with them, but I'm like, you know what? Alright. Like, you know what? Okay. You know what? It's like, all right, cool. Like, you know, we could move, you know, all right, whatever, man. Whatever you like. If you like it and you like it, cool. That's what you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things where we get into that. You know, the reboot didn't sit well with some. I would agree. The multiverse is bullshit. I have said that multiple times, and I'm not trying to, you know, blow that out, go over that. Fighting under every post and every tweet, every reply, absolutely accurate. Absolutely correct. There's that as well. Now, there's no more, you know, there's no room for discussion either be eaten. I mean, I guess it depends on where you're at. If you're talking to the wrong people, you need to get out the fucking rooms and go talk to some constructive people. But yeah, but you know, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this MK discussion up, and we'll get into this. So just bear with me 1 moment. Okay. Then obviously this was clearly the Fate Unknown speaking about the canceled KP3. But I say that to say, and I apologize I got out of here. I say that to say, I think that we really need to just understand MK1 is done for. If they want to do updates and make this game better, cool. But until I see a universal or a majority of people agree that this game has gotten better, that's fine. But I'm seeing a lot of, you know, there is that video from I forgot his name, about, you know, trying to say that people like, yeah, this game is not, you know, if you're not good at this game, that's just on you, get good. No, bro, the game stinks. I'm not watching that whole video arguing about it. That dude was out of his fucking mind. I don't even know what his name is. I'm not gonna give him publicity. He's got enough for this. But yeah, he was just saying, like, if you don't like the cameos, like, yeah, tag team was busted and all that, but tag team was fun. That's the thing. Sometimes with games, like, and this is really a case in Mortal Kombat. If you think Mortal Kombat is gonna be balanced, it's not. Like, Mortal Kombat is known for being kind of janky at times and quote unquote broken where everybody's OP. But there in certain games it's fun to do that because it's fun to figure out, yeah, everybody's OP, but who's the most OP? Or how you gonna beat the most OP person? There was a challenge and a fun factor. Like, yes, tag team is not a competitive mode, it was fun. Was it busted? Yeah, it was a little busted, it was a little broken at times, a little janky, but it was fun. It's like some of the MVC games. Like X-Men versus Street Fighter is low-key a janky fucking game at times, depending on who you use and what infinites and, you know, obviously certain parts of the meta that, you know, you figure out how to exploit. But regardless, it's still fun. There's still a fun factor. MK1, Mortal Kombat 1, aka Mortal Kombat Done, is not fun. It's not fun. It's not good. This has just been an abject overall clusterfuck of a mess from day one on September 19, 2023 to what has happened recently and going into 2025. So we'll see what happens. If it comes across my timeline and it comes across my algorithms, cool, I will entertain it. But I have not seen anything good about this game. I'm seeing people now talk about how ass Chaos Reigns is and how this game, it's pretty much the end of MK1 and what the downfall of it was. And that says more than anything in regards to this game. So I don't know what NRS is gonna do. I honestly think they should take a break. They should fucking figure it out, recharge, do whatever they need to do. But yeah, this game was not good. Hopefully they can learn their mistake. Third time's a charm. You know, they did not. MK11 they fucked up. MK1 they really fucked up. And hopefully with the next game they learn that. But anywho, I know we're a little bit in, but you know, kind of wrap everything up. To get into this, so we're at a point when it comes to how things work where, how can I explain this? The scammer to grifter pipeline has unfortunately infiltrated the FGC, and that's no pun intended, I promise you. It involves him, but yes, you know, when it comes to politics in games, man, like at the end of the day, being aware of politics is one thing. It's one thing I'm always cool with. Like, granted, I'm not the most, you know, the bastardization of the word woke and the bastardization of certain words is weird to me. It's okay to be aware of politics and what's going on outside in the world, because at the end of the day, these politics can take effect on your everyday life. Granted, some things are immediate, most things take time. Most things that happen today you may not recognize, or you may not feel the after effects of it until a year or two. You may not feel the after effects until, you know, you deal with something personal that affects you. You may not deal with it until, you know, you're married or have a child, or, you know, any life event. You may not feel certain things that happen. So I say that to say, with politics and gaming, I understand why people feel like, oh, they don't want to have politics in gaming, because it's like, yo, we're here to play video games. And at the end of the day, the word in FGC in fighting game should mean community. But there's this side, the right side, the alt-right, I guess, where it's this scammer to grifter pipeline. And that FGC, I call it the C in FGC on for them is cult. The fighting game cult. Cause it's weird. It's this alt-right, And I realize it's with every industry. It happens in sports. It's happened in politics. It's happened in music. It's happened in film. It's happened and now it's made its way into, the video game side of things. So it's been happening recently, especially, with this election that, unfortunately happened, where y'all, because I didn't vote for him, y'all who did vote for him, put this fucking guy back in office. I don't feel like mentioning his name because it's going to annoy me. But him going back, this man, unfortunately, going back into office with the rhetoric that he spews, has enabled this scammer to grifter pipeline to really infiltrate the FGC. You got people such as, you have well-respected figures, well-respected people in the community, such as, at one point, Arturo Sanchez, who goes from, being a well-respected figure for organizing tournaments and being a TO, being a competitive player to some degree, who kind of fell out of favor because he owes Dominion some money, which we know that is true. It's a court order. Like Dominion has said it multiple times. So if he ever tries to come at me and say anything crazy, I don't know why you want to come at me. I don't really got that many subscribers, but if you choose to, you likely can. My Twitter is right above me. We have everything, it's documented that you owe somebody some money, aka scammer the grifter, because he still has not paid that man after all these years back for that fucking PC. And then you turn into this whole thing where it's like you're praising bigots. I'm bringing the tweets up. I'm sorry. I don't even think you Caribbean Latin American. Like, you land Latin American. Like, you Colombian or some shit or whatever. You from South America. And you talking about like, oh, I got the N-word pass and all this crazy stuff. It's like, yo, who do you think you are? Like, you over here calling people all type of slurs. You aligning with certain people. Certain people get going on certain people. Fresh and Fit spaces and Nick Fuentes spaces and all type of crazy shit. And the thing with these people, and especially like people like him, they're those people who, just like all these scammer to grifter all right people, you go at them, you try to challenge their rhetoric, and it turns into answering questions or acting like they've been hurt or abused or something. And that shit is very weird. Excuse me. I've seen it happen with him. There's this Tenrio guy who, I don't know who the fuck that is. I have seen him in spaces. They talking about the gaming community has gone woke or this crazy shit, this bastardization. It's like, I don't think people understand. Like, the people who go to these tournaments, like, granted, they may not be the most socially normal people or the most socially aware people or the most just aware people. Because I'm not that word woke. I'm tired of using, bruh. I feel like that's just another excuse to call a certain group of people a certain slur, and depending on what they are. Like, if you are of the LGBTQ community, you call somebody woke, and you're one of them alt-right people or one of those grifters. I'm assuming you trying to call them a F word or any slur without saying it, so you using woke. It's the same thing they do with black people, where it's like they want to call somebody woke, but they want to really call them something else that they can't obviously say without repercussions getting punched in the mouth. So to go back to what's going on here, it's like you got these people saying all type of shit, aligning themselves with these alt-right people or these grifters and scammers in politics, and then using what Elon Musk is saying about how our Twitter is free speech as a excuse to be like, yeah, I can say certain things about certain groups. And it's like, yo, how down bad can you be that you have to go to a racist, xenophobic, bigot, dick eating type of rhetoric? Because that's what you're doing. You really bigot dick eating to like to get by. Like, you think that was gonna make you cool? You were already a loser beforehand. And now you're becoming an even bigger loser by doing this. So Arturo Sanchez, that fucking dork is one of them. He's a fucking loser and a dweeb. And he needs to pay that dude his money. But whatever. There's that. Then we get into this. So this fucking guy Infiltration, man. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be polite, but it's hard to be. So Infiltration, for people who don't know, if you're not familiar with the FGC, I'll just tell you. Infiltration was a class player, like top class player. Street Fighter, incredible player. Like, I'm just saying incredible player. I'm not discussing personal life. I'm just talking about his skill with this. Or one of these. Great player. And then there was a bunch of little controversies, but there's one that really blew the lid off. One of them was a situation where he was saying the N-word, which was a big thing. He said, "Oh, I didn't know it. I was just saying it. Whatever." And that kind of got blown over, which is crazy. But then there was a situation where he allegedly, and it's still being proven in court, but the way he's acting, I think he did that shit. But he allegedly put hands on his wife at that time, his ex-wife, because they're not together anymore. But put hands on his ex-wife, and this has been a whole thing. He did like a 4-minute video explaining how it happened, or what happened, or lack thereof, or whatever, pleading his case pretty much. But he's been banned from tournaments for a while, especially after that. The situation with the spousal situation, he has been banned from tournaments. He's tried to go as a spectator. He's tried to put a mask on. He grew his hair. He did all this shit to get accepted back into the FGC. And I guess he has to some degree. So he's in a brand new controversy. So as I pull these tweets up, this is from Ultra David, and he says, "Please ditch these racists. Let's keep building strong, diverse, positive communities, not just to be done with bigots like them, but to more effectively counteract them." Now, granted, this is December 19th, so like I said, I was away for the holidays, so that's why I'm getting to this now. But as you see, build relationships online where you can, whether on Discord, B-Sky, Blue Sky, or wherever else. But more importantly, and if you can't go out and make friends in person at your locals, the only way to make strong communities is together. Valid things to say. Very valid things to say. Picks from Final Round 2011 on the commentary desk, and just before our top 8 matches Super Turbo. We had some fun times over the years. I'll hold on to these memories even as I move forward now. Like every time, a friend of mine has descended into hatred and absurdity. What a bummer. As you can see, this is a picture of the fucking Arturo Sanchez, man. Now, we have seen this happen for a while. But while I get this window out, this has happened before NYC Furby, Arturo, whatever. And y'all might know somebody named Gutex, who was a great Street Fighter player. I think he played MVC also. Great player, like Mike Ross, Gutex. That's early. That's like around the Justin, maybe a little after Justin Wong and Yipes and Sanford Kelly and Duck Doe and Viscant and so on and so forth. So Gutex is another one too. He's one of the early ones who was a very well liked, well self-esteemed player, very popular, and then decided to go into the, he went to Aaron Rodgers, QAnon, all right. He went that route. He went too right. He leaned too far to the right, and he's pretty much been banished from the community. Nobody talks about him. But this fucking dork here, he makes Gutex look like a saint, bro. Like Arturo Sanchez makes Gutex look like an absolute fucking saint. Good lord, bro. And man, from stream to payouts, like this guy was really that guy. Like he was fighting for payouts. He was fighting, well organized tournaments, like well organized tournaments. Like this guy was really somebody, bro. He really was somebody. And then, yeah, that happened. So let's pull up the pictures. 10 Real the Light. I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. But anywho. Tweeted 2025 will be the beginning of the end for Jewish influence and gatekeeping of entertainment and other forms of culture. Starting with the industry I'm familiar with, esports, I will see to its eradication and we will be free. As you can see, Mr. Infiltration says, let's do something great. We definitely will. And of course, Arturo Sanchez himself, the Chaos Code Mutsi has said the true objective. We understand the mission, sir. Now this looks crazy because look at this word and look at this word and look at this word. Now, the quotes on this were kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, because we got to this part. So Infiltration got into some fire about this. And this, like I said, this is the grifter scammer thing that just, the pipeline that just pisses me off when I look at this. But this one was pretty funny. The Rothschild pussy he made a video talking about, I'm not playing the video. I'm not playing that damn video at all. But he pretty much said how, Elon Musk has made an app where he's promoting free speech. So why am I getting free speech about this? This man literally tried to make a correlation, and I'm paraphrasing because I said I'm not playing this video, but he made a correlation. He made a correlation saying that Jewish people have an influence on esports, and they are a reason why Sony. Real quick, there you go. Why my camera got a little blurry. Why that they are the influence as to why the Sony PlayStation was like the preferred console for tournaments for a while, saying like they're the reason why there was lag in certain times and they control evil and all this crazy shit. But like he's saying, I've always respected everyone regardless of gender and race, but you're retweeting. Like this dude said, an anti-Semitic tweet that's pretty similar to the Jews on everything conspiracy theory, referencing Twitter under pretty much. Here's the thing, yo, and here's the thing. And while I pull this tweet back up, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing here. This is important because the virtual signal that all you care about is free speech. It boggles my mind because all these people say that shit, and a lot of y'all. And you know what? I'm not absolving this dude of shit, because you've been in America for the last 10 to 15 years, so you're well fucking aware because you threw the N-word out. You're doing all this crazy shit, and then you come back here and then like retweet this and that, like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Bro, you have been around and in America for the last 10 to 15 years. You are very well fucking aware of what you said, how you said it, why you said it, and what you want to do, where you trying to go with it. So miss me with the bullshit. And honestly, shame on him and shame on everybody else who does that shit, because a lot of people conflate free speech as to free speech does not mean free. People can think because we're in free speech and we're in a land where the First Amendment is free speech, that free speech means you could just say whatever the fuck you want. The last time I checked, and the last time anybody will check, free speech does not mean free speech means you can say what you want, but free speech does not mean that you are free of consequences and repercussions for what your speech can do or bring to not only to yourself but to other people and to your future. Y'all say crazy shit and then scream the free speech thing. No, if you talking about this right wing the Jews own everything conspiracy and just spewing shit and being bigoted and xenophobic and racist, that shit has consequences. That involves you getting banned from tournaments. That involves you not being around. That involves you losing money. That involves you. There is consequences to everything that you do in life, even to shit that you do, even to stuff, that is good. Sometimes there's consequences to certain things, which those consequences can be necessary. But this, like this free speech, I'm just gonna say whatever and be like, oh, it's free speech and Elon Musk preach this. That's all bullshit. Again, infiltration has been in the land of the United States long enough that you are aware of what you say. You are aware of what you do. I'm sorry. You are aware. I do not want to hear this. You are from where you're from. No, you have been around here for a very long time. You are aware of what's going on. So you saying some bigoted shit and then turning around and be like, oh, I didn't say anything bad about them. No, bro, it does not matter. That tweet looks insane. That Ultra David tweet looks fucking crazy. I don't care what anybody has to say. Like, this is like, you're saying, Pete, they have a monopoly of power, just like Sony does at FGC tournaments. You've never discriminated against those type of people when you literally just did with your tweet. Like, bruh, you responded to this, bro. Like, you responded. Look at what you responded to. The beginning of the end for their influence. Come on, bro. Eradication? And you talking about, oh, let's do something? Come on. Like, you don't know what eradication means now? Oh my God, man. Like, bro, this conspiracy theory, alt-right, scammer up grifter pipeline bullshit that has, I swear to God, no pun intended, infiltrated another community is nasty. Like, and especially in a community that wants to have all type of people feel welcome, whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whether you're trans, whether you're furry, whether you're fucking black, white, Asian, all that shit. Like, I find it so stupid that like people talk about, you know what? But then again, it's my fault for thinking people should be better, because at the end of the day, like I said last time I checked, the FGC and fighting in the C and FGC stuff for fighting game community and not fighting game conspiracy or fighting game cult. And unfortunately, these people have transpired, gone into the community. And honestly, some TOs are with it, some TOs are against it. Hopefully they just do the right thing. Just get these people out of here, bro. Listen, they want to get mad about their beliefs, but at the end of the day, you have to remind these people that free speech does not mean you are free from consequences or repercussions of your actions or your words. And one day they'll get it, one day they won't. But at the most important time, when they will understand it, or they'll just be butthurt about it, like Furby over there, who still owns 3K to Dominion, is when it hits their pockets. So, fuck it. You gotta keep punching somebody till they punch back or till they hurt. So, at the end of the day, if you gotta punch the pockets, you gotta punch the pockets, man. Enough is enough. But to wrap this up, this Super R Radio, I know the Super R Radio is a little bit longer than the first one, which, there was a lot to talk about this past month, so that's why this one's a little bit more lengthier. But to wrap this up, we are finally, I did not think we would get to this point of Street Fighter 6 at this point in, halfway, in the beginning, the genesis of the second year passed. But we're at the point where we're complaining about Street Fighter 6, bro. We do this every game, y'all. Why, as a people, as a community, not as a cult, not as a conspiracy, why do we do this every fucking game, bro? Street Fighter 5, I understood it. I understood the Street Fighter 4 was better thing. I got it, because vanilla Street Fighter 4 compared to vanilla Street Fighter 5 is not really much of a discussion to be had. SF4 out the gate was amazing. Street Fighter 5 had much to be, had much to be desired. And I understand that. I'm here with you. Like I said, I don't have no evil reputation, nothing, but I pay attention to things. I love these games and I understood it because I was the same way. I was at the 2 months of Street Fighter 5. I was just like, okay, yeah, that's it. Whatever. Yeah, Street Fighter 4 might have been better. But bro, vanilla Street Fighter 6 is so much better. Was better. This year one pack was better. Like, there's a world tour mode. Like, there's so many different things that they've done with Street Fighter 6 that has just hit so well. There have been minor issues here and there, but nothing that is to the level of Mortal Kombat done. I mean, Mortal Kombat 1, or even Tekken 8 to a degree. But I think, unfortunately, we are at the point where we're in a time where, like, even with gaming, like, there's so much microwave content that it's like people get bored, or just people are just too impatient to see what's next, that like it gets to the point where you start looking at the mirror and finding something to complain about. It's like looking in the mirror and like seeing like you're wearing a shirt that you took out of the hamper when you could have just got a fresh shirt out your drawer and put it on. Like, hello, there's a reason why it's there. It's fixable. Like, it's not that serious. You can just go fix it. Like, I just don't understand the era that we're at the point where there's not enough. I guess there's not much content out, or like people kind of just like, all right, cool, we got Terry, and like we're just here and waiting for what's next. That we're at the point that we're really saying Street Fighter 5 was better than 6, and I don't get it. I'm sorry. I tried. I even looked at different things and watch certain people explain why this could be a thing, and I'm just like, I don't get it. It was a better game. Street Fighter 6 now was a better game than what Street Fighter 5 was at that one point. Like, it shows in the numbers. There's a reason why Street Fighter 6 is steadily sold. It's not like Mortal Kombat 1, like I told you. Look at Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 sold 4 million faster than Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6 both sold 4 million respectively at one point. But Street Fighter 6 steadily got to 4 million. Meanwhile, Mortal Kombat 1 got 3 million off the hype of it being a casual game, like being a highly anticipated, and obviously casuals love Mortal Kombat, but like it took so long to get to 4 million because of how ass the game was after, and how many people put the game down because of how much of a mess it was. Whereas Street Fighter 6 has been steadily good and has surely and steadily gotten to that sales mark because of that. And I know that kind of is a little bit of a deviation, but let's get back to where we're here. We're at the point where we're just complaining just to complain. Like, the whole it's better than Street Fighter 5 thing is bullshit. As somebody who played both of those games at certain points, granted, I didn't play Street Fighter 6 for a little while because I've really been heavy on the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. And granted, with the holidays, I've been out of town, so I have not really, like, today was legit the first day I turned my PlayStation on in 2 weeks, maybe. And I actually wanted to play Street Fighter 6 just to see what the complaints were. Granted, I need to get back into the swing of things and get familiar with playing Street Fighter 6 a little bit again, but I'm having a little bit of fun doing that. Not gonna lie. So I think, unfortunately, we're at a point where people are just so eager for new content that it's like, oh, we think Street Fighter 5 is better, and we're just finding something to be bored about. But we are also at the point, which I hate, and I call it the complain about a Shoto challenge. That we do it every fucking game. This game now, it has been with Ken. People are saying Ken is OP, Ken is this, Ken is that. When, funny enough, earlier when this game came out, there were people saying Ken was at best a top mid tier, which I think people over fantasize and over analyze about the mid tier thing, about tiers and all that, and I think they use that to kind of, they lean on that over just being over skill. Like, granted, there's a tier, like it's like kind of like I kind of think about the tier thing like how I watch sports. A lot of people when watching sports now, they look too much at box scores and analytics and don't actually watch the games and don't see, like, yeah, you can see for, let's talk about it in basketball. You could see somebody's averaging, 20 and 10. But like their field goal percentage may not be that good. You see why they're averaging 20 and 10, but when you look at the games, somebody scored 27, hey, he had 27 points. But yeah, his fucking team lost by 19. When he scored most of the points in the fourth quarter and the third quarter, when the game was out of reach already, when it was over. Like, there's context to everything. I think some people lean too much on the tiers and don't look at the full context of like how the game is being played and like how people play with that character and what makes them good. Aside from skill, it's just style. And I just think a lot of people just do that, like have that issue and lean too much into it. And with Ken, I remember him people saying he was a mid-tier, and now he's overpowered. And it's like, which one is it? Is it just we're trying to find something to complain about? Like, it's like with every game, there's a show we complain about. Not me, but in general. Like, it's either Akuma, it's Ryu, it's Ken. It's mostly Akuma and Ryu, but this game it's Ken now. And it's just, I find it so funny because we do this every game. And I think the reason why is because I think people saw that with certain tournaments that a lot of people were choosing Ken. When I just think, to me, I think people choose Ken, and I'm a Ken player. Granted, again, I'm not a world champion person, so please take this with a grain of salt. I'm just discussing this in general. I think people choose Ken because, yes, Ken is a decent character. Like, he could be great. In certain games, he's fucking amazing. But Ken just has a fun factor to him. Like, at least with Ken, it's like playing with style. It's like, listen, it's like basketball again. I might drop 30. I might lose. But you know what? I looked good doing it. I had fun. I'm not going to win every round. I'm not going to win every tournament. But I'm having fun playing as Ken. And I think Ken is just one of those people who has a good balance of being good competitively, good for casuals, or good for people like me who are like, understand competitive play, but are casuals, if that makes sense, and like understand what, how the game is played and certain combos and how certain things work, and have a deeper understanding of how, deeper understanding than the normal, just casual person who picks up and plays the game. And he just has fun. Like, he has, I know people use the word swag and sauce, but like, he just has a fun factor to him. I just think I never understood people complaining about Ken being OP, like when Akuma is not fucking OP every game. And granted, it's not even a takeaway from Akuma. Like, I understand Akuma was damn near a mini boss character, and he debuted as a secret hidden OP character, and has been hidden or OP for most of his life cycle in the Street Fighter universe. But with Ken, I think it's like Ryu is just like the meat and potatoes. He's good at everything. He hits hard, and he's supposed to be what he is. Whereas Ken is like Ken is just the fun factor guy. Like, his combos just look fun. Like, look at this. Like, he just looks cool doing shit. And I just think that's the thing going on. I just think that's where we're at with it. I just think people are just complaining just to complain for the sake of complaining. And to be honest, I don't understand what the issue is or what's going on with it and so on and so forth. But yeah, I don't understand it. I just feel like people are just complaining for the sport of complaining. And I think it's just we're at the point where people are just eager to see what's next with the content. And we're at the cry about a Shoto challenge. We do it every fucking Street Fighter. It's this one's OP, that one's OP, which one's OP, we don't know, but we're gonna find one and we're just gonna complain about it. It happens every fucking Street Fighter, and I don't understand. Sometimes, yes, patterns are cyclical, but we need to break them. Just break the chains. It's okay. Ken is fun. Ken is cool. Yes, Ken looks a little homeless in this game, but you know what? The combos still look crazier than ever. He plays well. You can pick him up. You can use him. Figure out your ins and outs, and that's it. I just don't understand, like I don't understand what the issue is. Like, I just think people just complain just to complain. And funny enough, I was gonna play the MVC collection, and as I was, I was away from home and away for the holidays, and I was seeing tweets. So I said, you know what? I have not played Street Fighter 6 in a couple weeks, maybe about a month or two. Given that I was so invested with MVC collection, and granted, I was playing, X-Men versus Street Fighter. Like, I play as Ken and Cyclops and whatever. Even playing the Anniversary collection, playing the older game. I said, you know what? I'm gonna get Street Fighter 6. I'm gonna pick up Street Fighter 6 again, more consistently. Learn how to use Ken. Figure the ins and outs. Figure like the combos that people just hate, and just learn how to use them, and figure out why they're fun. Cause the shit looks just fun to me. He doesn't look OP. I don't know, man. I just think people find an excuse to hate on him. Like, granted, yeah, he does look a little, he looks a little bummy, but he's still got the, he's still got the fun factor. He's still got the, he's still got the moves, and he just still has the sauce. Like, that's just what Ken is. And I don't know. I think people just hate on it. I don't know what it is, but man, it is what it is. I'm still gonna enjoy the shit. But anywho, man, I think that is more than enough time that I have discussed everything going on in the last couple of weeks in regards to the FGC. Granted, I know Virtual Fighter 5 has come out. I have not played it yet. I may play it. I mean, I did have Virtual Fighter 4 and 5. Those are the only Virtual Fighters I've owned, because like I said, I didn't have a Sega system until I was older, or unless I played on emulators. But I played Virtual Fighter 2 and 3 like randomly at times, but seeing Virtual Fighter 5 back is cool. I mean, supposedly there was a Virtual Fighter 6 announcement that I did not get to, so I have to take a look at that. I'm trying to think what else, man. Fatal Fury coming out in April. Looking forward to that as well. That's looking really good. I think that's gonna. I don't know. Something just about that game just looks really fun and looks really good. I like what they did with. I like what SNK did with King of Fighters with KOF 15. So, I think they keep the momentum and keep it going with Fatal Fury. Given that it's a game that hasn't come out in over 25 years. And it's a passion project, so that's what it seems like with the way SNK is putting a lot of love and preparation, and just even the rollouts are pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to see what Fatal Fury does in April. But otherwise, man, yeah, I'm gonna be playing the usuals. Like, I'm gonna start getting keep playing the MVC collection. This Capcom Fighting Collection 2 should be coming out any moment now. Hopefully sooner than later. We'll be getting up on that. Playing some SF6, playing Tekken 8 as well. But otherwise, man, that's all I really have. I know it was a lot, but I'm definitely gonna keep going with these episodes. So if you have any comments, questions, feedback, whatever, you can comment on the video below on YouTube, or you can tweet me here at whoisoriginal. I'll probably make a Blue Sky soon. I haven't done it yet, but I'll probably make that. But you can definitely hit me up on Twitter. But most importantly, above all, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, which is right above here. Again, SYWNET on all platforms. Shout out to the Union. Shout out to McCarter's Catering and Guessing from the Stands. But again, I'm gonna pull this tweet up before we get up out of here, and I think this is the most important thing. I'll definitely do another video on a thread I found about MVC1. I might definitely have that in the works, but cutting for time, I don't really want to make this too lengthy, because I think 2 hours of somebody speaking by themselves is a lot. But I'll definitely get into that. But I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to put this tweet up, and if you take offense to it, it's your problem. But most people that play fighting games have no idea what they want in terms of balance, mechanics, and patches, and just yap for the sake of it. And once you get the changes that you wanted, you realize how terrible they were, and will ask for something else that's equally as bad as, if not worse. I think that's a recurring theme of this episode. It's happened with MK1. It's happening with Street Fighter 6. It's also happened with Tekken 2 to a degree. So, hey man, being a consultant or being a developer in these games must be hell, because you hear from fighting game players, you've got to figure out who's saying what, who's actually doing this in good faith for the sake of the game, or who is doing this for personal exploit for tournaments. So God bless y'all, all you developers out there, all the people that deal with these consultants trying to deal with balance on patches, because I don't know how y'all do it. But anyways, appreciate y'all for the support. Keep on playing, keep doing your thing. Prosperous, healthy, fun, and happy new year. 2025 is going to be a great one. Again, you can follow me at whoisoriginal right above here. Follow me, tweet, DM. Of course, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell. And if you have any other comments or feedback, don't hesitate to go into the comments or tweet me. I will likely respond. Unless you say some bullshit, I will respond to you with some more bullshit. But if you give me some good constructive feedback, or you're just willing to talk, hey man, you're more than welcome to hit me up. More than welcome to join, subscribe to the channel, comment on the page. But anyway, that's enough for me. I appreciate y'all. And until next time, we out of here. Peace.